I've finished modeling my rocket ship and I'm ready to start rendering it out and making a cool, pretty picture of what you see here. And I'm pretty jazzed and incredibly excited about the final model itself. But now let's start creating a simple little scene to really kind of flush it out a little bit. When we're working with renders, especially outside renders, that ground shadow is super important for us. That ground shadow is going to help our audience understand the size and the scale. It provides just a little bit of spatial understandings so that they can understand the proportions of this. Without that ground shadows, it's going to feel a little ambiguous. So let's go ahead and add a simple little object in here. I'm going to do Shift-A to bring open my Add Object pull-down menu. And I'm going to go Mesh, and I'm going to choose Plane. The plane is just, as you'd imagine, just a singular polygon. Let's hit the Tab key, go into Edit mode, and I'm just going to make it pretty big. Yeah, something like that. That's pretty good. Let's look at it from the front view. And I'm going to turn on my Grid Snap. Absolute Grid Snap is on. Hit the magnet icon, and I'm just going to snap that down to the ground. Wonderful. Beautiful. Let's just see how big that is. Let's jump over into our camera's viewfinder and start exploring what this looks like. The camera viewfinder can be found here. You can hit that little button. You can also hit the 0 key on your numpad, which will allow you to go in and see through your camera's viewfinder. And I'm liking that. That's looking pretty cool. Let's do some additional work on here. If I make this a little bit bigger, yeah, that may be pretty cool. Let's turn the lights on and get a better understanding of what the final render is going to look like. As a reminder, we get to preview our lighting by going into this shading style. This is the render preview button. The render quality is kind of reduced a little bit to make it a little bit more interactive in our OpenGL viewports, but this really is what the render is going to look like. I can already start to see that the edge of that ground plane is cutting that ground shadow off. Before I make too many changes, let's look at the light, because that light is having a big deal and a big factor in our understanding of all of this. Here's my light. This is the default light that comes with all Blender project files. It's called a point light. And if I was to describe a point light one way, it's like a light bulb. Singular dot in space, and light is being emitted in every direction from that point. For exterior renders, which makes sense for a rocket ship, perhaps we should be more like the sun. So with my light selected, check it out, and go down over here into my object properties. This little light bulb icon will allow me to change it from a point light to a sunlight, also known as a directional light. And now we're starting to simulate a little bit more of what the sun is going to look like. The strength is just way too high. Let's put that down to 100. Let's put that down to 10. Now we're talking. It was just way overblown. Sometimes the lights are just very, very bright. Wonderful. I ended up at a value of 6.0 for that directional light, and it's starting to look pretty good. Now you can see why I didn't worry too much about that ground plane, because the moment we changed that point light to the sunlight, I had this ability to change the angle. This little yellow dot here will allow us to change the angle of the sun inside the scene. Of course, a real small shadow like that suggests that the light is right above our rocket. A real long shadow suggests that the light is at the horizon line. So this is your artistic understanding and interpretation of what you want your shadow to be. I think I want to have mine something like that. Having a shadow go across the back, towards the back of the scene, is a little bit more pleasing. It puts the focus clearly on the rocket ship itself, and it's starting to look a little bit nicer. In addition, I also want to change the color of our light, because right now the default color is white, and it is physically impossible in our known universe, maybe the multiverse, to have a white light. All lights are shades of blue and yellow. So I want to make this light just a little bit yellow, not like this yellow. I mean, you certainly could do that, but that doesn't look real. But I'm going to tint my light just the smallest shade of yellow. I'm going to try to stay on the orange side, and that's starting to look pretty solid. A simple little render like this goes a long, long way in describing the details of our engine, or of our rocket and our engine. There's one other thing that you may want to look at when evaluating your render. Under the render settings, which is this camera icon, there's a whole bunch of stuff in here that I would encourage you to check out. First and foremost, ambient occlusion. This is going to give us the smallest little illusion of little dark shadows. At this view, we're not seeing a whole lot. A little bit down at the engine perhaps, but overall it's looking okay. Another thing to look at is screen space reflections. Small little reflections will start to show up on your material. That's a good thing to go as well. I'm generally pretty pleased with this. I like the light, the gray background. Not so hot, but we can change that. If you were to go into your world settings, which is this red icon right here, we can change the color of our background by adjusting this color swatch in the properties. Perhaps we make it a little bit brighter, something like that. Yeah, maybe we make it a little bit blue. I like that too. That's a little bit more on the green side, but at least we're getting there, right? It's starting to remind us of something other than just this black environment. The cool thing about the rendering engine inside of Blender is that the background is beginning to tint our foreground. So having a real nice color in here is a super helpful thing. Maybe a lighter shade of blue. Not like that bright. It's gonna have to be pretty dark still, so we have separation between the foreground and the background. But a nice shade of blue is going to go a long way. And that's how we make a simple little exterior render of our rocket ship.